This morning you talked about my higher self, and I guess my higher self was not totally content with your answer. That it hurt. So
it's probably not completely content with your interpretation of my answer.
So you said enlightenment or to be awakened, it's just a unique thing for everybody. That's what I understood.
It's personal, yeah.
Personal.
It's subjective, not objective.
Yes, but on the other side, there must be a common sense behind these two words.
Which is that you exist and I exist.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Is it that you lose your personality, that your ego, you see that your ego is an illusion, or is it that all is one, or...
It could be all of these. It depends on what your personal definition of enlightenment is. I know that's not satisfactory for the seeker in you.
What is your personal definition for yourself?
I can name all kinds. I don't have one. That's why I can't say who's enlightened and who not, who isn't. I can only say who's enlightened based on a certain set of definitions that have nothing to do with enlightenment itself.
Mm-hmm.
Enlightenment is just synonymous for existence. And there's no end to it. I've not met anyone that has achieved enlightenment. I've only met people that have aligned their vision in closer alignment to the way existence sees itself. So in a sense you could say enlightenment as an endless spectrum of progression, of evolution, of expansion, is to minimize the distortion between your personal vibration and that of existence itself. But that's it. That means you're enlightened compared to someone else. That means that someone else is enlightened compared to yet someone else. That means that someone else is enlightened yet compared to someone else, because it's an endless spectrum. So it depends on where you want to draw that line. And there's no one that has achieved the end of that line that I've ever met, heard about, or read about, including myself. Because this is an infinite creation. There's always more. Always. It's infinite. Sure, there is some kind of finality to realizing the absolute, for example. Or realizing presence even has a kind of finality to it. A kind of confirmation, kind of proof, kind of stability, a changelessness. If that's what you mean, then yeah. But that's not that big of a deal. Having a realization is not that big of a deal. Then to actually minimize your frequency's distortion in relationship to that of infinity, that's the journey.
And what are the gateways?
What are the gateways?
Next levels to go this way?
Well, anything I say, basically. Which one resonates for you? I think you're still seeking for enlightenment as an objective thing. Like a law book, like a lawyer studying a law book. It's like, okay, this is the law. The law is set in stone. Doesn't matter what lawyer you are. The law does not depend upon the lawyer. The lawyer depends upon the law. And so too with spirituality, enlightenment does not depend upon the seeker. That's what we believe. We think the seeker depends upon enlightenment, but it's the other way around. Enlightenment depends upon the seeker. Depends on the seeker. The seeker does not depend on enlightenment. The seeker is enlightened, is enlightenment, is consciousness, is awake. So when we seek for this holy grail thing that everyone in the world seems to be looking for, we want to look for that same thing. I often compare it to like having heard a story about this apple hanging from a tree. And we're all seeking for this particular one apple. There's tons of apples on the trees. We can go to any tree. We can go grab any apple that appeals to us, big, small, distorted, not. But we believe enlightenment is this same one thing, and that everyone reaches that one apple. And so then the question arises as the seeker, as being a seeker, the question arises, how do I get to that apple? If there is an objective realization called enlightenment, objective means it's impartial, it does not depend upon the seeker. It's not subjective. It's an objective thing. It's like an apple, like an object. If we believe enlightenment is objective in nature, then we will always ask, what is the path towards enlightenment? And that is a sure way to slow ourselves down. Unless you do it with such a great intensity that you reach a breaking point where you realize enlightenment is not subjective. Is not objective, sorry. It's completely subjective. In fact, it's the subject. Enlightenment describes the subject, which is already here, no? Do you think you will ever reach a place where you will be more existent than you exist now?
No, I guess it's already here. Yeah.
It is. And that is enlightenment. To familiarize yourself with that is enlightenment. So it's not an objective thing that you need to listen to others to how to get there. Does that make sense?
So it's just about letting go of all concepts and just be?
Are you asking me how to get there? I've been a seeker for many years very intensely, so I know what it's like. But that's not the way to go about it. It's one way. I mean, always end in Rome, right? But it requires a shift of understanding what it is. It's not something you're going to find through walking a path that already exists. You are carving the path as you speak. And it's not a path towards enlightenment. It is enlightenment becoming more enlightened. Does that make sense? There's no end.
Yeah, in a way, yes.
There is no actual finality, not to the journey. There's realizations that have some kind of finality to them. Or there's realizations of certain finalities, but the journey of representing that, of reflecting that, of soaking in that, of embodying that, of expressing that, is an endless journey. Maybe it's not what you want to hear. What is your hope for enlightenment?
No, it's not really a hope. I really feel well like I am and like my life is now.
Okay, nice.
So it's not
what is your belief about it, or your image of it?
The belief is that it's a different state.
Well, that's a painful belief.
That's a what?
That is a painful belief, in my experience. Unless you don't believe that implies that you're lacking it. Do you believe you're lacking enlightenment?
Not really. It's more that I'm very curious to...
So you believe you're lacking it?
Come there. Yeah, when I'm asking such questions, I guess I'm lacking it in a way.
Well, you're not, but you believe you are, right? Can you see that you're not? What would you find if you became enlightened?
More clarity, that all illusions are dropped in a way, that I have total understanding of life.
Sure, but is that different than consciousness?
Not different.
So it's the same thing, no? That you are utilizing effortlessly to hear my voice right now? Isn't that enlightenment?
When it's about consciousness?
Now, can you become more aware of consciousness? Instead of seeking for a different state, can you simply become more aware of awareness? That which is always already here.
Yes.
That's the direct
Could be
path.
possible. Yeah.
That's the direct way. That's not using an intermediary permission slip experience to catapult you into a different state of understanding something. And in fact, even when people do generate that for themselves, and it happens all the time, it creates this contrast that takes them usually years to get rid of. The contrast being the contrast between before enlightenment and after enlightenment. In other words, they now believe that enlightenment is indeed a shift somehow, is something else other than they were before. It's because they build up this change. But really, it's a continuous you. The continuous you is what you're trying to find out, which is already here.
So it's not one shift.
It's
like
not going to happen. It's not going to happen through.
telling.
It's not going to happen through an experience. It's going to happen through consciousness, which is happening. You see the difference? What would be aware of your shift? And is that not the same thing that's aware of my voice? What would be aware of you after the shift? And is that not the same thing as what's aware of my voice? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what is more fundamental? The experience of enlightenment, or that which is aware of the experience of enlightenment?
Mm-hmm.
And isn't enlightenment about finding the most fundamental? So what do you prefer, an experience of enlightenment or the most fundamental?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to realize that I'm consciousness, or I'm this awareness.
Are you aware?
I guess yes.
You guess?
But maybe
you don't have to
there's-
guess.
Yeah,
You
there's
responded
just
to
the
my, you
illusion
responded
that
to my
there is
question.
another awareness behind that awareness.
There's another awareness behind that awareness?
Mm.
What would be aware of that?
Yeah.
You think there's two awarenesses?
No, only in my words there are two concepts. Yeah.
What is aware of this whole dialogue will be aware of your experience of enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
Or your experience of non-enlightenment. Doesn't matter.
Mm.
In other words, enlightenment is to realize that that which is aware right now is always already aware.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But what are you seeking? You're not seeking enlightenment. You're seeking an experience.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeking fireworks.
Yeah.
What do you desire most? And do you even know why you desire it? Do you desire it because you heard about it?
Because I read a lot about it and talked to people. Only that's the reason.
So what do you
Yeah.
desire if you'd never heard of it? If you never talked to anyone about enlightenment? Can you imagine that? Whole history wiped out. You just were born and raised on Hawaii and there was nobody here. What would you desire?
The desire would drop. There would not be a desire in that moment.
Not for enlightenment, right?
Yeah, no.
Not for seeking. You only seek because you heard about something
Mm-hmm.
that you think is not already here.
About the carrot somebody put out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The carrot was simply describing your ability to be aware of the story about the carrot.
Mm-hmm.
But when we think the carrot is actually a carrot or an apple, then we'll always be seeking that. In other words, what you're seeking for does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
However, the good news is that was the negative news. Not bad, just the negative news. There's a difference. The positive or confirming news is that by actually becoming more familiar with the fact that you are consciousness, all these experiences that you've read about and heard about become more accessible, become more available, and naturally start to develop at their own pace as is relevant for you in an accelerated fashion, rather than if you keep seeking for those experiences that you heard about, but you refuse to admit that that which is aware of this moment will always be the ground for any experience you could ever experience, including enlightenment. If you keep refusing that, you keep actually postponing your ability to, in a healthy, integrated manner, access the experiences of fireworks, or clarity, or peace. Those are all qualities innately present and available in that which is hearing my voice right now. So explore that instead of that, whatever that is. Explore that. Explore this. Just rest as you are. Discover that awareness is always already here. Discover its qualities. What are its qualities? It's always already here. No matter what I say, it does not disturb. It's not disturbed. It doesn't change. No matter what you experience, it doesn't change. It will always be there. It is, in that sense, free. It's not even the body because it's aware of the body. It's not the mind because it's aware of the mind. Yet it includes all of these, so it's all inclusive. It's oneness as well. It's unity, inseparability. All these things that you read about can be explored on your own experientially by simply resting as awareness, noticing the awareness that's already aware. It's a way more direct way to actually integrate those experiences. If you keep seeking for it, you're not actually going to find it because you always believe it to be out there. And higher self and all that needs to honor your belief system. So if you believe it's out there, it won't be here. If you realize that all that you could ever potentially desire or seek is always already here, contained within awareness, then you have an entrance point that is direct, experiential, and effective. But you have to let go of the carrot. You have to realize that the carrot is actually that which is aware of the carrot. It's not the carrot. Enlightenment is not the experience, it's that which is aware of the experience, which is already you here now. You're not going to change that. It's way simpler than you think it is. Still insistent?
I understood. Okay.
No, I know you understand, but does it cleanse your ideas? Or do you insist upon an experience?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure, yeah.
Then why do you not seem elated and happy?
I'm sure,
and enlightened?
but my mind still went on like, okay, when I'm consciousness, I'm awareness, is there a way that I experience that more clear?
Yeah, by noticing that you are indeed aware right here, right now. That's what you do when you relax for 2 to 5 seconds. You notice that you're already aware of now. That's it. 12 times a day. Or more if you want to.
So this I am from Nisargadatta or all that stuff, just to feel I am existing, I'm here.
What about that?
So that's what you explained, what I understood. So just to feel that I'm existing, that I'm aware that I'm here.
Yeah, notice that you exist and notice that you're aware that you exist. Those are the two primordial qualities of enlightenment, which is beingness and awareness. Those are inseparable.
Okay.
Cognizance and presence energy, out of which the sense of beingness arises. Does that make sense? Presence and awareness.
Okay.
Those two combined, explore these. They have different qualities. They have different sense perceptions. You feel them differently. You experience them slightly differently. But they're both an inseparable union that altogether forms creation, forms existence.
Okay. That
forms
helps.
presence.
Yeah, that helps.
Okay, nice. Good. So sometimes you feel more like experiencing the energetic presence of this moment, like the I am. And sometimes you feel more like exploring the I, the awareness which is aware of the M. I am. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So do you have one of these? Not to help
one,
you
yeah.
continue to seek,
I have
which
one.
it could do. But okay, good. So you simply relax for 2 to 5 seconds, and when you notice I am, you're noticing the presence energy of creation itself, that beingness which pervades all that is. Right? This chair is being, your body is being, and you can feel that in a very real way, utilizing awareness of the now. You can notice that you exist. You can feel I am. And you can notice that you are aware that you are. You are aware of the feeling of presence. Just go back between these two, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, in a very playful way whenever you feel like it. And it will naturally clarify itself. And also see that all the beliefs that come up about these things actually disappear or fade away in terms of importance when you compare them to the actual experience of being here now and being aware of being here now. They just don't have any ground to stand on. They're just ideas about experiences, about consciousness. Where do these ideas arise? Inside of awareness, made out of presence energy, out of beingness. Does that make sense? So keep exploring that. Keep overthrowing your mind's seeking ideas by confirming that what you seek is actually this which is aware of the seeking. You're looking for what's looking. You're not looking for something you can see. You're looking for the looking. Does that make sense? Awesome.
Yes.
Just keep that really close to heart. Any seeker out there, any sort of traditional yogi like yourself, keep that idea really close to heart that what you're trying to figure out is actually awareness itself. Not as an experience, but the awareness of experiences. And then just keep comparing, oh, there's an experience arising, but I'm aware of it. Let's rest and enjoy in the awareness that's already here. It's unaffected by the experiences that come and go. It's always already here. It's changeless. All these qualities we seek that we label as enlightenment is here already. It's that which is aware of my voice.
Yeah. The flipping card that you said at the
Flip
first
the
time.
card. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Does that help a little bit?
It helps.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Let me know if your higher self disagrees again or changes his mind. Okay?
I will ask him later.
Okay, good.